day. let your tenderness show. Live from your heart.
Daydreams all around us, but those ways and means still confound us. Can't move without a safety net. If there's a way, can't see it yet. Lost among the things as we get older, while our passions slowly start to smolder. We can make it past the fear, but we've got to take the time to make it clear. Meet me in the space between, where words are just formalities, where we can learn to trust the voice within. Meet me where the worlds collide, where the fragile veil is cast aside, so we can see the future coming in. In the echoes of conversation is where we find our true obligation. We were never meant to stay the same, stuck here on the surface to remain. Meet me in the space between, where we're...
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, those of you in the sanctuary and those of you watching us at home, or maybe even someplace like a hotel or a resort. You never know. We're here this morning with Freya Wild. You might know her from our musical musical Ambassadors of Peace, and from our Peace Through Music events. And she's back with us another Sunday, sharing her original songs that are stellar in her soaring voice. So let's welcome Freya Wild.
Steam from my morning mug of jasmine green rises swirling. I breathe it in, sweet comfort. All is well in my world. This sacred morning ritual, and I know who I am. Close my eyes and I look within. There's a diamond in my belly, brilliant and shimmering, kaleidoscope of light. With one more breath it fills me up. It is my gift, and it moves like steam, as sweet as jasmine. Eyes are fixed on me, on a chicken bus city. Somersault hair and jump rope legs keeping time to a heartbeat full of rhythm and rhyme. One eternal glance reveals there's a diamond in her belly. Luminous wonder still believes in her own light. Spirit swirls like lace between us and fills up the bus and moves like steam, as sweet as jasmine cream. As I wander this jungle of humanity, I'm swept into the beauty of every dazzling pair of eyes, of every quickened heart. All the visions just melt apart. Eyes wide open, there's a diamond in each alley. Tapestry of light, such quintessential beauty. It moves us all and rises up like sea, as sweet as jasmine green.
That's very wild, everybody. Woo! And Charlie. And with that, we say good morning and welcome to celebrate a world of harmony, peace, abundance, and Steve Larson's birthday for all. If you're here in the sanctuary, please stand up and let's sing together. You might even want to stand up at home and get your groove on.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I am as God created me, in the light, in the love, in the glory. I am as God created me, in the light, in the love, in the glory. In the light, in the love, in the glory. In the light, in the love, in the glory. In the light, in the love, in the glory. I am. In the light, in the love, in the glory. In the light, in the love, in the glory. In the light, in the love, in the glory. I am as God created me. In the light, in the love, in the glory. I am as God created me. In the light, in the love, in the glory. In the light, in the love, in the glory. In the light, in the love, in the glory. In the light, in the love, in the glory. I am. In the light, in the love, in the glory. In the light, in the love, in the glory. In the light, in the love, in the glory. I am as God created me. In the light, in the love, in the glory. I am as God created me. In the light, in the love, in the glory. That's what you got now. In the light, in the love, in the glory. In the light, in the love, in the glory. In the light, in the love, in the glory. I am. In the light, in the love, in the glory. In the light, in the love, in the glory. In the light, in the love, in the glory. I am. Woo! Ow! Thank you so much. Now we're going to do one of our favorite agape tunes. Oh yeah, all you gotta do is follow along. I am listening
I am listening
to the music
to the the music
of the Holy, Holy Spirit.
Holy Spirit.
Oh, what a song
Oh, what a song
God is singing.
God is singing.
I will listen
I will listen
all day long.
all day long.
I will listen
I will listen
all day long.
all day long.
Oh, yeah, hey,
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 hallelujah.
hallelujah.
Oh, yeah, hey,
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 hallelujah.
hallelujah.
Oh, yeah, hey,
Oh, yeah, hey,
hallelujah.
hallelujah.
I am lifted
I am lifted
in the love
in the love
of the Holy,
of the
Holy Spirit.
Holy Spirit.
Oh, what a joy
Oh, what a joy
God is being.
God is being.
Praise the Spirit
Praise the Spirit
all day long.
all day long.
Praise the Spirit
Praise the Spirit
all day long.
all day long.
Oh, yeah, hey,
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 hallelujah.
hallelujah.
Oh, yeah, hey,
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 hallelujah.
hallelujah.
Oh, yeah, hey,
Oh, yeah, hey,
hallelujah.
hallelujah.
Praise the Spirit,
Praise the Spirit,
hallelujah.
hallelujah.
Oh, yeah, hey,
Oh, yeah, hey,
hallelujah.
hallelujah.
Yeah, thank you so much. You sound great. Please be seated and let's take a breath and prepare ourselves for prayer and meditation. Spirit, be the center, be my source, be my
So I invite you to pray with me by allowing yourselves to take that deep cleansing breath. Feel yourself getting settled and centered. Allowing Spirit to be that center. Be the guide. Be the vision. Jesus says in Luke 12:32, it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. It is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom, and that kingdom is not outside of us. That kingdom is within. That kingdom is allowing Spirit to be the center of all that we do, all that we are. So, sweet Spirit, this morning, we allow you to be our center. We allow Spirit to be our guide in all of our words, in all of our actions, in all of our relationships, in all of our situations. We practice staying centered in Spirit, in God, in the universe, in life. We allow ourselves this practice. We stay awake to it as long as we can. And the more we can surrender the ego and surrender those parts of ourselves that want to keep us small, the more freedom we will experience, the more joy we will experience, the more of a Spirit-centered experience we will have. And so, sweet Spirit, in gratitude for this awareness, for this practice, we say thank you. We bring this allness of you, Spirit, to everyone on our prayer list, every prayer request in our prayer box, every situation in our own lives that is challenging us. Knowing that the allness of Spirit is in each of those situations. We take this thought of allness into our time of meditation now. A time where we sit and rest together in this consciousness of the allness that we are.
Welcome to the east, golden sunrise, spirit of the wind. Thank you for another precious day to sing the praises of this glorious earth. Keep me to fly high on eagle's wings, teach a higher vision. Let me walk in beauty, oh, spirit of the east. Welcome to the south, radiant sun, star, fire in the dance. Thank you for the ember glowing in my heart and for fiery passion in my soul. Let me shine bright into the night. Keep me turning toward the light. Let me walk in beauty, oh, spirit of the south. Oh, spirit of the south. Welcome to the west, spirit of the flowing waters. Ooh. Thank you for the crimson beauty of the sky as the sun surrenders to rebirth. Let me dive deep in the ocean of love, flowing with the current divine, and let me walk in beauty, oh, spirit of the west, oh, spirit of the west. Welcome to the north, ancient wisdom, people of the earth. Thank you to the elders, all who've gone before, lending strength to face the dark. Let me dance life with wisdom and grace, guide my feet with steadfast purpose, and let me walk in beauty, oh, spirit of the north, oh, spirit of the north. Ooh, 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 ooh,
Freya Wild, Charlie Berger, Dan Steelman, Larry Thompson. Yeah.
Beautiful. On the way here this morning, Kevin and Kay here, and we get a message on his car. He has a Tesla, and it said, "Pull over immediately." And we're on 36, not an easy thing to do. And it said, "Exit and re-enter the car may help." Well, so he pulled over and got out of the car, came back in, and we were able to go. Now, who knows what that is all about, but he's going to get it serviced tomorrow. Happened a couple times on the way here this morning. But wouldn't we all love to have a sign like that? Like, pull over immediately. We don't often get signs like that there's something in our lives that we need to address or change, but we always can get a do-over. We can always get out and come back in and re-enter and start fresh if we choose to have a new perspective, to have a greater vision, to see things differently, to see ourselves differently. There's always an invitation to do that. We moved into our house in Denver 4 weeks ago tomorrow, and I was trying to decide in my home office, I call it an office, a meditation room, whatever, but I have different things in there, and I was trying to decide what things to hang on the wall. And I pull out of a box a cross that I got when I was 10 years old, when I made my confirmation in the Catholic Church from my sponsor. And my sponsor was a woman whose mother smuggled her into this country on a ship from the Ukraine where people were being persecuted. And she married my mom's best friend, and that's how I knew her. But she gave me this cross when I was 10 years old, and it always hung in my house somewhere until about 20 years ago when I was no longer Catholic, and I didn't want to have a cross. And so I pulled this out of all these things that I've had hanging at different times and decided I can hold all of this. It's not either or. I don't have to say no to this cross. I can say yes, and this is a time in my life where I confirmed my faith. And now to me, it can represent those crucifixion experiences that I've had in my life. And in the midst of all those experiences, still a confirmation of my faith, a confirmation of who I am. And a cross, if nothing else, we can look at it as the intersection of our divinity and our humanity. And so this cross is hanging in my office now, and I love it. I don't have to deny that part of myself, that historical part of myself, which is still part of who I am. Because not only is that cross hanging in my room, so is George James's 12 Powers painting. And some Chinese symbols that I have hanging that my daughter gave me, one that represents prosperity and one that represents breathe. And so we can hold it all. It can be a both and, not an either or. Jesus says in 12:32, it's your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. And it's not a kingdom that's over here or over there. It's the kingdom within us. That kingdom that the revealing word calls the kingdom as that place that holds all divine ideas, that Christ consciousness within each of us. And it's ours. Anytime we want to turn back, re-enter, exit and re-enter into that place of knowing. That kingdom of God is within us, that kingdom of heaven, that realm where man, woman understands God and practices. It's not that, and it's for each of us. It's not that when I practice coming from that place of the kingdom of God, Christ consciousness, that you don't. It's not that that I have it and you don't have it, or someone else has less of it. It's the allness of it is available to each one of us. Eric Butterworth calls it that we are created in the allness of God as an eachness of that allness. You following? It's a little tricky to understand the allness, but we are an expression, an individualized expression of that allness. Meaning that each of us has our own beliefs, our own thoughts, experiences. We're all unique expressions of that. And there's the allness of spirit, of the universe, of life, of the field, of God, whatever you want to call it. That allness is within each one of us, in that eachness. That allness is there. And we are so much more than we see ourselves being. We often see ourselves as so small. But we have the potential of the allness within us. Spirit is the allness in which you and I exist as the eachness. Sig Paulson was head of Unity Christianity School for a number of years, and he was also a poet and an author, and he wrote this: "We live in a universe that is a unity. It is a totality. It is wholeness. Each one of us is an expression of that unity to the degree that we understand it." We're an expression of that wholeness. To whatever degree we understand our part of that. There's so much polarization in our world today. There's so much duality thinking, either or thinking. If I'm this, I can't be that. And you're that, so you're not this. And it can be exhausting. And it's okay. We can resonate with certain identities, certain parts of ourselves more than others. But within the parts, there is still an allness of who we are. It's a paradox that can be hard to hold, like jumbo shrimp. Or if I told you I was a compulsive liar, would you believe me? How do we hold these truths, these paradoxes? One of the paradoxes we've come to learn is we are that which we are seeking. We are already that. And what we're looking for on the path is already within us. You've all heard those paradoxes. It's a both and way of looking at life. The Quest for Wholeness, written by Robert Brummett, we studied this a few years ago. And that he says in that book, which I've recently reread, that in spirit, we are already whole. In our humanity, we don't experience it because we're not practicing that wholeness. We're only practicing parts of ourselves. We're only expressing parts of ourselves, of who we are as spiritual beings. But that wholeness is already within us. Parker Palmer is one of his books that I'm reading for my Spiritual Directions program. And this book, A Hidden Wholeness, it's just a beautiful book. I have it highlighted all over the place, but he says this: the deeper our faith, the more we doubt, we must endure. The more doubt we must endure. The deeper our hope, the more prone we are to despair. The deeper our love, the more pain its loss will bring. These are a few of the paradoxes we must hold as human beings. It can be really hard to hold these paradoxes. It takes us to understand that it's not this or that. It's all of it. We are all of it. Back in the 4th century, the church decided which scriptures to put into the Christian scriptures, the New Testament as we know it. And so they selected which readings, which books would be in, and 27 books ended up in the New Testament. And other writings were considered then outlawed, not allowed to be read. They were supposed to be burned, supposed to get rid of them. And as we've discovered, only in this last 100 years or so, we've been discovering more scriptures. We've been discovering different documents, the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Nag Hammadi, and there's been others. And several years ago, a bunch of Bible scholars, about 20 Bible scholars, got together and started studying some of these writings that were not part of the Bible. And they added 10 of these writings. Seven of them came from the Nag Hammadi that were found in a cave in Egypt in 1945. And 7 of them ended up in what they're calling a New Testament. And they put them where they felt they belonged within the other 27 books. And this is fascinating to me, who loves looking at Bible verses and interpreting them and metaphysically looking at them and what meaning am I giving them now? What meaning am I giving them to my life? Because the Bible can still be very relevant to our lives if we look beyond the literal meaning of it. So one of the books that made it into the New Testament is called The Thunder Perfect Mind. This has been embraced by people in the arts, in literature, in film, poets, musicians. They're really excited about it. It's a long poem. And don't worry, I'm not going to read the whole thing to you. I know you look at this book and you get a little intimidated at how thick it is. But I want to read just a couple little excerpts of it. I'm going to skip around. But I want you to get the gist of it, because this poem is about holding the paradox, holding statements that contradict each other. And it's written, amazingly, they believe this was written in as early as the 1st century CE, as late as the 3rd century CE. And it was written in the voice of the divine feminine, who also switches back to the divine masculine. And so it's trying to take away this duality thinking. I am the first and the last. I am she who is honored and she who is mocked. I am the whore and the holy woman. I am the wife and the virgin. I am he, the mother and the daughter. I am the limbs of my mother. I am the bride and the bridegroom, and it is my husband who gave birth to me. I am my father's mother, my husband's sister, and he is my child. I am humiliation and pride. I am without shame. I am ashamed. I am security and I am fear. I am war and peace. Pay attention to me. I am she who is disgraced and she who is important. I am she who is hated in every place and she who was loved in every place. I am she who they call life and you all call death. I am you, and you all called lawless. I am she whom you chased and whom you captured. I am he from whom you hid and who you appear to me. Whenever you hide yourself, myself will appear. Advance towards childhood. Do not hate it because it is small and insignificant. Don't reject the small parts of greatness because they are small, since smallness is recognized from within greatness. You wounded me and you relented. Don't separate me from the first ones, throw away no one. And what you see on the outside, you see revealed on the inside. It is your clothing. That's just a small part of it. It's not terribly long, but I just... Do what? The last little bit? Since what is your inside is your outside. And the one who shapes your outside is he who shaped your... See on the outside, you see revealed on the inside. It is your clothing. It's not the very end of it, it goes on, but I just found this writing so profound, so inclusive, that we are all of this. Each one of us, in our eachness, in our each unique expression of spirit, is all of that. The paradoxes of holding that we can be more than what we identify with. We only identify with a very small part of who we are as spiritual beings. There's so much more to us. And for someone to have written it, they think it was oral for a number of years before it was written. But for someone to have spoke that and written that, and what kind of consciousness that came from is just awe to me. Just brings me this sense of awe. Richard Rohr talks about in Falling Upwards about the second half of life. And it doesn't necessarily mean the second half chronologically. It means the second half of us, our lives, our consciousness, being able to see from a both and perspective instead of either or. We have to hold that paradox, hold that, to see the allness of who we are. We need to practice that. So often, we don't see it all. And then every once in a while, we hear a story of someone, a young person who gets it. And that was a story that I read this week. Legson Kaira. He was a teenager, 16 or 17 years old, living in Africa in 1958, October 1958, when he decided that he wanted to go to America and go to college. He lived in poverty. He didn't own a pair of shoes. And the only way for him to get there was to walk to Cairo and somehow find a plane to get him to America. He had no passport. He had no birth certificate. His parents were illiterate. But he had a copy of the Bible, and he had a copy of The Pilgrim's Progress, which is an allegory written in the 1600s by John Bunyan, who talks about humans' trials in trying to get to heaven. And so he had these two books. He had a 5-day supply of food and water. And he had 2 legs that he started walking. And he had to walk north through the eastern part of Africa to get to Cairo. After 5 days, he had only gone 25 miles and he was out of food and running short on water. He started having to pick up odd jobs on his way, and he had to travel through hundreds of different villages, 50 different languages, which he did not speak. But he held this vision for himself. He held this paradox of being a teenage boy born into poverty, who didn't own a pair of shoes, with illiterate parents, but he held a vision of himself graduating from college in America. Talk about trying to hold, a paradox, an allness, a both and. When he was younger in school, he thought, what's the point? I'm just going to be a boy who lives in poverty in this village in Africa the rest of my life. Why should I bother studying? But something in him, that spirit, that allness within him, spoke. And he started following this vision. After 15 months, he had gotten to Uganda, but he was so sick at this point that he was gravely ill, that he found some people to care for him, to feed him. He ended up staying in Uganda for 6 months to work some jobs, to get some income so that he could eat, so he could figure out what's the next step? How do I get to America? And he started going to the library there. And at the library, he found a book on American colleges. And the first picture he saw was a college called Skagit Valley College. Maybe some of you are familiar with it. It's in Mount Vernon, Washington. Skagit Valley College. And it was this stately looking building, and that was his image of what going to college in America looked like. So he wrote a letter to the dean and explained his story, explained his situation, said, I have no visa, I have no passport, I have no airfare, but I want to go to college in America. The dean was so impressed with his story that he gave him a full ride scholarship and found him a job to pay for his room and board. The only thing was he had to get a passport and a visa and the airfare. Well, he contacted the missionaries that had taught him to read, that had taught him about the Bible, and they pulled some strings and was able to get him a passport, but he still needed the airfare, over $600. He didn't know that the dean at the college had reached out to the student body there and asked them if they want to help him. And they raised $615 and sent it to him so that he could get a visa and airfare. And he went to this college, and he graduated from this college. And before he got on the plane to get over there, I forgot to tell you, he used his last bit of savings to buy himself a pair of shoes. So he wouldn't show up at college barefoot. He's an example of someone who embraced the allness. There was nothing in his life that told him he could do this. Nothing that pointed to it. But it's in the allness within us, the allness in our eachness, where the possibilities lie. When we judge or when we compare, when we look at someone and see only parts of them, we're not seeing the allness of their eachness. We're seeing a small part of who they are. We're not seeing the potential. We're not harmonizing, we're separating. Each of us, no matter what we've done, how we've lived, how we've behaved, what's in our past, is an expression of the allness. Expression means representation, manifestation. We are a representation of spirit, of the allness of spirit. I was reading this week about the early Quakers and how they would have a small group process that they called the Clearness Committee. And in this clearness committee, it's only 3 or 4 people, but there's one person who is trying to maybe solve a dilemma in their life or to know themselves on it. They want to solve, but the members of the group have to recognize that the allness in this person, in that experience, in that situation, whatever that situation that person is going through, the answer is within that person. They are not to give advice, they are not to give opinions, they are not to comfort this person, they are only there to listen and ask questions. It's a beautiful process that respects that each of us has an inner teacher. In that allness of our eachness is everything we need. And often these sessions will last just a couple hours, but there may be several of them. And the person, his or her own solution. It's a beautiful process. It's the holding of a soul and allowing that soul, giving it full authority to find its own answers, to find its own guidance. We sung about this morning that guidance is always there. We watched a silly little movie on Friday called Tango Shalom. Has anyone seen it? Tango Shalom. So it was recommended by the Parliament of World Religions. I'm on their email list, and they talked about it, and they showed it at the convention this year, which I was not part of, but you can rent it on Amazon for $7 and watch it. But it's kind of silly, but it's about a rabbi who's got some financial difficulties, and he loves to dance. And he comes across, he's trying to figure out, what do I do? What do I do? And he's looking for guidance from Spirit. And he comes across a woman in a dance studio who is teaching tango. And now he's an Hasidic Jew, which they are not allowed to touch any woman but their wives. So he's dancing outside on the sidewalk outside her window of her studio, and she sees him, and she's like, he's got some good footwork. And so she's like, come in, and so he goes in there, and while he's in there, she's showing him a few tango moves, and he's like, I can't touch you. And she's like, oh, well, let's just do it in the mirror. And she gets a phone call then finding out that she was going to be part of this dance competition, and she needed money to raise to help her daughter's treatment. Her daughter had MS, and her partner cancels on her. So she asked this man to be her partner. Now, she said, there's a lot of money riding on this, and he's thinking, whoa, the answer to my prayers. Here's the answer, but how do we tango without touching? It's a passionate dance. So what does he do? He's looking for his own guidance, but he goes to a Catholic priest. Then he goes to what was the other one? I didn't write it down. He goes to a mosque and talks to a Muslim. And he's like, and he's not getting any answers from them. They're only giving him something to think about. Then someone says, there's a Hindu monastery down the road. So he goes to the Hindu monastery. Talk about going for, looking for your guidance outside of yourself. But he comes up with a creative solution when he finally does turn within and find his own answer. He comes up with a very creative solution, and I'm going to tell you what it is because I want you to watch it, if you want to watch it. But what a fun little movie to talk about, this guidance is always within us. Spirit is always within us. The allness, the inner teacher is there. if we only would practice looking there for it, instead of asking everyone else, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? What should I do? Listen to your own guidance. When we do that, there's a freedom that comes from us. When we surrender to our own So another group of people that has had to hold the paradox of fighting for freedom, fighting for peace, and the potential of making the ultimate sacrifices are veterans. And this Thursday is Veterans Day. I want to read a couple quotes, both of them from former presidents, one from Jimmy Carter. So much that is good in this nation depends on the unknown actions of humble men and women who understand the importance of duty, done without public recognition or the blare of trumpets. The strength of our nation lies in our willingness to do what we must, each of us each day, wherever may lie our particular nation was again at peace. Ever since Armistice of November the 11th, 1918, this has been a day to remember our debt to all who have worn the uniform of the United States. I want to ask all of our veterans to stand so we can honor you. That anyone who has been in the military, the reserves, we want to honor you. Thank you. Oh, I wanted us to give them the unity blessing. Stand up again so we can give you the unity blessing. We love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we see the Christ you are. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, holding that paradox. Where in your life are you able to hold both and? Or do you see yourself as an either-or mentality mostly? This is right, that's not right. This is an opportunity this week, practice the allness. That everything you look at, everything you experience, everything you see, everything that comes in front of you into your life, practice seeing the allness. Practice just saying to yourself, the allness of spirit is in this situation. The allness of spirit is in this person. The allness of spirit is here. And just like Thunder Perfect Mind talks about all these different aspects of us, throw away no one. Throw away no one. Throw away no part of yourself, because every part of yourself has got a message for you, is part of the allness. Throw away no one. Surrender to that and allow it. Allow yourself to be all you came here to be. See the allness in your eachness. I want to close with a poem by Rumi that fits in perfectly with this holding the paradox and seeing the allness. It's called Guest House. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all. Even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture, still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet all of them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. Peace be with you. Namaste.
So once again, this is Freya Wild, and she's going to do a song that I think should be the soundtrack to the next great Irish movie.
You were born of the ocean foam, tumbling in the water. You rose from the waves, a luminous pearl. Oh, my sons and daughters. I rocked you in the tide, lullaby wisdom weaving. Poured love deep inside, shimmering infinite beauty. Let the tide bring you back to me. Let the tide turn you on. Let the tide bring you back to me. I have come to carry you home. One drop in the rivulet, child, do you remember how to flow into one with the wondrous wonder, oceanic splendor? Do you remember a love so vast that it can wrap around the world? Can you hear me calling, calling you home, my precious pearl? Let the tide bring you back to me. Let the tide turn you on. Let the tide bring you back to me. I have come to carry you home. Oh, shining one. You were born to dance upon the waves. You were born to dance upon the waves, shining one. You were born to dance upon the waves. You were born to dance upon the waves, shining one. You were born to dance upon the waves. You were born to dance upon the waves, shining one. You were born to dance upon the waves.
Freya Wild, Charlie Berger,
Anyone saying that?
Larry Thompson, Dan Steelman.
Thank you, Freya. Beautiful. This is a time in our service where we take our offering. The screen shows you that there are many ways to give an offering here. That's right, we're not taking an offering. We're learning with having a consultant. We don't take an offering anymore. We receive your offerings. And we give thanks for every amount that you give, whether how big or how small. It's what keeps us alive and vibrant. Your financial support, your willingness to be a part of this community. So thank you in advance. We have an offertory blessing we like to say. We say it every week, and I invite you to say it with me. God's love has always met and will always meet all my needs. I give freely, I receive abundantly, and I am grateful. And so it is. And while the offering is being taken, I'd like to walk you through some community news. The first one is to check out our website. It's important to go there. As we have more and more people online, we have become a paperless community. We invite you to go to the website, to make offerings, to sign up for different things that we're doing. And so check it out. Also, if you're new with us and want to start receiving our weekly emails, all that can be done at the website. Not everybody has as much access to understand their allness. And so we have a ministry here at the church, Chandra's Gift, that fires up just about this time of year, that makes Christmas gifts, a Christmas package available to those that are living with mental illness. And they already have your opportunities to sign up to pre-purchase chocolate bars or to just give funds, but they're going to have a booth here for the next 2 weeks. This is a short little fundraiser. It ends on the 28th. And we would invite you to give some thought to just how much chocolate can you consume in order to help those in need. You may notice as you come in the blue bin that we have. There's actually several other bins in reserve ready for your gifts. Those are getting picked up, I believe, on Tuesday of this week. And so I saw many of you bringing things in today. That's great. If you realize, I haven't gotten anything in yet, you can still drop it off up until Tuesday, and then they're going to be picked up. We have a few save the dates. So next week is our 28th anniversary here at Columbine. The Reverend Rachel Harrison is going to be speaking and honoring that date, so make sure you tune in or here in person. And then the next week I'll be covering Thanksgiving and bringing us all into that place of gratitude and service. And then finally on November 28th, we are, among other things, going to be celebrating our beloved Carol Hoskins' retirement. She's not leaving till the end of the year, but we wanted to really dedicate some time to it before we got busy with the holidays. So come and celebrate with us the years of service that Carol has given to us. And then also coming up on the 16th is Feet Forward.
Feet forward.
Feet Forward. How are you doing on volunteers for that day?
We haven't put out a call yet.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll be doing that on Tuesday. And what Jennifer Livovich, the founder and director, says is that as the months get colder, a lot fewer people are interested in coming out to support their homeless brothers and sisters. So they're grateful that we're continuing to provide our 100 hot meals.
Yeah, so Feet Forward, we're actually coming together here at the church to prepare a meal that then is taken down to the band shelter in Boulder and fed to the homeless that day. So what a wonderful opportunity to be a part of the community. And then if you're ready for a little longer experience of prayer and meditation, then on the 18th, Janice and Rachel have their meditation service.
Yes, all about gratitude this month. Surprise.
Good. Great. All right, with that, let's stand,
Let's stand.
Sing the peace song.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Chorus before the bridge, okay?
Let the tide bring you back to me. Let the tide turn you on. Let the tide bring you back to me. I have come to carry you home. Let the tide bring you back to me. Let the tide turn you on. Let the tide bring you back to me. I have come to carry you home. You were born to dance upon the waves, shining one. You were born to dance upon the waves. You were born to dance upon the waves, shining one. You were born to dance upon the waves. You were born to dance upon the waves, shining one. You were born to dance upon the waves.